tonight. Guidance. What do you use for guidance? I've got a few bits over here of what I use for guidance.
Product placement for the soil.
Excellent.
This bag, for example, that's what I use. I once used glasses for guidance. That's what you can use for guidance. Clears the path. Sat-nav, very useful for guiding. And of course you can use things like maps, atlases, globes, all sorts of things for guidance. So, God's guidance. Guidance from God. What do you use? I haven't got a prop for that. Or anything that can fit in this bag. So that's what I'm going to talk about this evening. So before becoming a Christian 5-6 years ago, about that time, I'd always hear of people being guided, whether it be by a vision or a voice or a dream, or something like that. And I'd always desire to see something like that, wherever it may be. Whether it be just your Bible, the wind blowing your Bible to a certain page and that's the one you're meant to read. A sign, guidance. And yes, this sort of thing does happen to some people, and it doesn't to other people. And I believe that God talks to all of us so uniquely, independent to who we are, in such a way that we can understand. I think that's a good thing, because I think if he didn't, and it was a blanket way of communicating with us and guiding us, it'd almost be like hearing someone speak in a different language, foreign language, but it's tailored to us so that we see his guidance, so that we feel his guidance. Then why can't I hear his guidance? Why can't I see his guidance? Am I ignored? Am I abandoned? What is it? Am I alone? What I've got here on this little pedestal table is a Bible representing all that is God, all that is his life, all that is Christianity, but at this moment in time, guidance. Guidance. And I believe that things in life get in the way of that. I believe that it's worldly things that distract us from that guidance, or cloud the way, or create a smoke screen in front of getting to that guidance. And once again in my bag, I'm glad I didn't get them mixed up, but you have things such as any number of things really. You've got social media. I've just got a phone here representing that sort of social media, whatever else is on there, different apps. Very easy to get engrossed in that, very easy to get distracted with that. What else you got? You got money, distraction. You got very positive TV programs. You can get engrossed, you can get wrapped up in very quite easily, distracted by that. Now, just other things I haven't got in this bag, whether it be something we like to indulge in, whether it's the odd drink, whether it's just something we just thoroughly enjoy doing. There isn't necessarily anything wrong with that, but we'll go into that later. And these things, whether it's social media, whether it's this almost false community, whether it is almost this money or this soap opera we can get wrapped up in, it creates fleeting satisfaction. Fleeting satisfaction. Which then becomes, after a while, when that runs out, boredom. You can create a thrill, and then after a while, when you haven't got that anymore, create depression. It creates a distraction, which when you haven't got that anymore, may bring back your anxiety. And it also may give you relief from something that you're avoiding. Which when that comes back, again, is very negative. So that path to hearing guidance is now full with all these things on the floor. In your way. It's a mess. That's a perfect word for it. In my bag, I also have something else very fond to me, which I'm about to show you. Because to me, God's guidance can sometimes be like this. You look at it and you think, where can I get it? Where do I start? It's going to be tricky to get to that point. It's going to be tricky to hear it. Is there a method? Possibly. Return. So what then? That's all well and good. These things get in our way, we're human beings. Some more than others. So what then? That's fairly negative. Discipline, I suppose. Sounds easy with practice. We can practice discipline, practice it. Practice willpower. And we can try through this to retreat from distraction. Try and retreat from this, try and ignore it, trying to avoid some of this sometimes. And that doesn't necessarily mean going living in the middle of a field or on top of a mountain, isolated, away from everything. But it just means being aware of everything. Being aware of everything you're doing, everything you're eating, everything you're saying, everything you're thinking. Because the enemy, that is the devil, likes to haze that awareness, or just let you stumble into it, entice you into that haziness. Don't think about it. Everyone else is doing it, it's fine. As Tim was speaking about the other week, about on his talk on depression, how the enemy loves to hook onto your already formed or just seeded doubts and negative thoughts. He loves to confirm those doubts. He loves to increase that desire to just not do anything. He loves to make you feel like an outsider if you feel slightly lonely. And throughout this Bible, throughout the book that God has provided us, we're warned over and over again that we will be outsiders to the world. So it's not a surprise. Again, I think the word is awareness. Because outsiders, from the world looking, from the world's perspective, maybe. But really, in the perspective we know, knowing God, we're part of the family. We're included. We're loved. Through the awareness of what we do, think, eat, say, think, we can create a balance in time of what we enjoy doing and what we don't need to keep doing. What we can keep at arm's length. And that's the thing, really. You can only really keep things at arm's length because you can't get rid of them. You can't rid these things of the world, these distractions, indulgences, these things that become sometimes more important. We prioritise them, but you can keep them at arm's length. You can keep them at bay. You can keep that balance of, oh, now's a good time, now's not a good time. I really believe, just in my short time of being a Christian, that we are very much, as we are warned in the Bible, at battle with the world sometimes. With all these things saying, this is important, do this now. And sometimes we may forget that we have a purpose, and that comes with guidance. I have a few verses here from the end of the New Testament I'd just like to read. This is from 1 Peter 5, 8 to 9. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith. When he kicks those things in your way, get rid of them. Knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. It's not just you, it's all of us, we're all in this boat together. This relationship that requires this testing. So I suppose I'll just call out really for awareness and know when these distractions are brought in. Here's another verse I found in 1 John, again very close, but 1 John 15 to 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes, pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. The world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. It's on the next page, so see that. I've also got one again from 1 John. This one's from chapter 5, verses 3 to 5, which is just this. It's all of these. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. For everyone who has been born of God overcomes the world, and this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Who is it that overcomes the world except the one who believes that Jesus is the Son of God? And again, going back to this morning's sermon that Tim was saying about how those commandments, how those rules are so strict, so must do this. But no, they are a blessing, not a burden. What is it that makes this path, this straighter path, this much wider path now that we've kicked these things out of the way, we've ignored them, we're aware that we can put them in the cupboard if we want to, and they won't let them overwhelm our life. It's prayer, talking to God, communicating with God. It's his word in the Bible, and it's fellowship. It's being together, it's congregating, it's encouraging each other, it's helping each other stay on the right track. Without distraction, you hear the guidance. Whether through a person, whether through a brother or a sister, whether through an opportunity that opens itself to you, that's God talking to you. Or whether it's a burning passion that is on you to do something that you believe God is calling you to do. And at the same time, it's not always what's given, but sometimes what's taken away. Maybe it's an opportunity that you don't get, or don't succeed in. Whether it's losing your phone, or whether it's no longer finding something satisfying anymore, and something's calling you to move on elsewhere. These are all ways in which I've found personally, ways how God has communicated to me. I haven't experienced visions or a voice as such. I've seen and heard and felt God's presence in opportunities, in events that have occurred. And those things, losing your phone, not getting a job, not succeeding in a job interview, not whatever it may be, something negative like that. To the world, this is negative. It's like, oh, that's not good, is it? I mean, it's a bit annoying. I've lost my phone forever. But these are sort of menial in the grand scheme of things. Because there's always an underlying message. And I've always loved the saying, and in some ways it's ironic now, because I suppose 10 years ago, before I became to know God, I'd say, oh, everything happens for a reason. I still agree with that now. But it now has more of a meaning. And I see why everything has a reason and a purpose. Yeah, so, the Rubik's Cube. What was once cluttered by a distraction of things, getting to guidance, seeing God's decisions, twisting the pieces around like this, trying to figure it out. I suppose with awareness and knowing what the temptations are, and knowing that the devil is there prowling, and knowing how to identify that and ignore that, it's easier, I suppose, to hear that guidance. Now, this isn't magic. There's a method, but to me it's symbolic of how clear God's guidance is when you're in tune with it. I'm fairly new to it, so I don't know every element of it, how it may come and go at times, and how I will be distracted by things that come into my life. But at the moment, I'm so grateful and confident in God's guidance. And that's how it feels, as simple and as clear and as bold as that. So satisfying. You almost you take it for granted in the end. You sort of, well, that's happened. Oh, that's constant. That's sort of how it feels. And God's guidance is always, He gives you His guidance so that you can do His will. And use your gifts, whatever it may be, to do that will. To help others come to know God. But we don't always hear because of that smoke screen. So clear your life of distraction for when the distraction isn't there, you do the will of God. And God will guide you every step of the way. Guidance is always there. We've just got to direct our attention to it, listening by our devotion to God, our love for God.